So money takes, and what it does is it spins. So really what we do is we say we've got to really watch and take a look at what we call the big picture. What I'm going to cover here today on Survive and Thrive in 2010, and very important, and beyond. Okay? And beyond. Because our 2010 event will be over in the next 45 days. Okay, that's a reality. Okay? And so we're going to talk about how to keep your eye on the ball and seize the moment, be a goal setter, master self-discipline, and grow your business. I'm going to give you the keys to growing your business, and then capitalizing on opportunities. Now that last one, I'm going to tell you up front that in your handout, we've given you some real in-depth stuff on how to find business opportunities, okay? And also what we call how to ride the right horse, get on the right horse of business to succeed. And it's quite comprehensive because I'm not going to take it and cover it on this session. Okay, so when we come to that, just before that, I will finish, but I've given you more that you can walk away with and take and work with and use. So we say, make sure that we see the big picture. We are part of community. Okay, and do we really work with the community? Now, the big picture also includes economic cycles. And by the way, when we talk about money spinning, what you just saw was the money spin, didn't you? And it went a few turns. The difference between the top of an economy, when we're up there and we're really flying, and the bottom, is not that there's not the same amount of money around, because there is the same amount of money around, it's just not spinning as many times. Does that make sense to you? Because you just saw money spin, didn't you? And so maybe at the top of an economy, what you might have is that the money may be spinning 5 or 6 times. Where down at the bottom, it may be spinning 3. How do you tell the top of an economy for sure? There's only one way, in my opinion, and that is excessive optimism. When everybody around you is excessively optimistic about where things are going, then we're very close to the top of the economy. Would you say that about 3 years ago, and for a period of 2 or 3 years, there was excessive optimism here in South Africa about the future of the country? Yeah. Were people walking around and saying, man, we're where it's at. And we had just got the 2010 World Cup, didn't we? And we were looking forward to that. And you heard people say things like this: if you've got equity in your present home, take that equity and buy a second home. Did you hear that? And then if you have a third home and you've got equity, take that equity and stretch yourself, do whatever it takes to get into another home. Because you can't lose money in real estate. Who's ever heard that? Is there anybody that's lost money in real estate, do you think, in the last couple of years here in South Africa? Absolutely. Nobody told you that the interest rates might come up. And they didn't say that possibly your bond payment, will be up 40% 2 years later and you don't have enough money to make all the payments. Okay? And those are some of the realities. So when we get towards the top, we overbuy as a society and as business people because we are excessively optimistic. Now here's the problem. We don't just spend money that we're making. We begin to spend the money we think we're going to make, don't we? And what's that called? Credit. Okay? And then everybody starts using credit. Right? Everybody gets the credit cards up. Then we run the overdrafts up because we're not worried because we're just going to make more money. Not a problem. And then all of a sudden you get somebody that comes along to help us slow down. Because most of us cannot stop our own spending. Because when we make promises to our families, we talk to our friends and we tell them what we're going to do. We're going to move into a new house and I'm going to expand my business. And to back off and put the brakes on is a difficult thing after you have told people what you're going to do. It really is. Absolutely. So you need somebody to come along and put the brakes on for you. Okay? Now, see what happened, and you remember, because Tito Mboweni, the governor of the Reserve Bank, had to stop us. Because he started putting notices in the newspaper, he ran ads, and he gave interviews about how we're using too much credit, and things had to slow down, and we're going to run into problems, because of inflation and a number of other things. And did we slow down? No, we didn't. So what he started doing is jacking the interest rates, didn't he? To help us slow down. And then one day you woke up and you don't have a lot of discretionary income because your bond payment is 40% more and there's a bunch of other things that cost a lot more money. And what's that do? That stops you from spending. Okay? And this is what happens. So credit and cash begin to dry up at the top. You get bulging inventories real quick because we were producing in a very optimistic mood, but we're not selling as fast. So you're going to get inventories. Inventory can also be, in the service business, is people. We may have too many people. Okay, in the real estate market, they lost about 60% of the estate agents during the recession that were out there because there were too many estate agents. That's too much inventory. Production begins to slow, the negative news kicks in, prices slip, a little worry, buying dries up a bit more, people begin to lose confidence, layoffs begin, there's more worry, savings begin to build. Interesting. You know, we've heard how tough things are in the United States and how heavy the recession hit them. You've heard that. Do you know, 2 months ago, there was more money in the average person's savings account in the United States of America than there has been for 42 years. And in the UK, since over 40 years ago, the same thing. And matter of fact, in South Africa, our savings are going up. Okay? And matter of fact, our borrowing, we're holding off. We're not borrowing as fast, are we? Okay? And that's a reality. And so savings begin to build towards the bottom. People put on buying, get excessive fear. There's a lot of panic, and a lot of panic business moves and panic personal moves. Okay? And then you hit the bottom. And what's the bottom look like? It's the opposite to the top. Excessive optimism is the top. Excessive pessimism is the bottom. And that's where everybody is walking around saying, the world is coming to an end. Everything is falling apart. There's no future. Okay? I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe we should just dig a hole and stay here. Okay? No sense going out and making calls to clients because they won't buy anyway and you're just wasting your gasoline. Okay, and you get that kind of thing. Now that was about a year or so ago. Would you agree with me? Then we had excessive pessimism, which would mark the bottom. So as you're swinging down, the thing that stops it is called the smart money. Who here has ever heard that the best time to buy anything is at the bottom of the cycle? Okay, absolutely. I talked to a guy yesterday who's on his way to Greece. Why? He says, I want to buy up some properties and some business. Because it's the best time to buy in Greece, because Greece, as a country, is in major trouble right now. Okay? So that's the bottom of a cycle, isn't it? And so these people, the smart money, I know one guy that personally that's bought 75 properties in a little over a year, okay, that he rents out. And he saw it coming, and he didn't know the bottom, where the bottom was, that he started buying about here because he's in for the long run. This is what he's there for. Okay? And so he buys, he's a bit smarter than I am, so I buy, and you look at me and say, Bill's got a half a brain, then you decide to buy. And the next thing you know, that creates a bottom, but it doesn't take and turn it up. Okay? That's the bottom of the economy. So then we start, at the bottom you'll see a little bit of leakage of good news. And has there been a leakage of good news in the last 6-8 months? Would you say so? I see yesterday where they say automobile sales are up. Okay? That's good news. Gee, I've seen some awfully good news for us as the consumers in the newspaper. It said, pay TV war erupts. And that you can get pay TV a lot cheaper now than you could a month ago. Is that good for you and I? That's good news. Okay? And as you start looking at it, I see that Ariba is ready to build a solar energy plant, literally putting billions into it here in South Africa. And you'll start to see the positive news trickling in, which is what we are seeing. That positive news starts to kick in, you get a little more buying, you get a little more hiring, more buying, more confidence, more hiring, more buying again. You get higher prices, you get a fear of higher prices. A fear of higher prices, you get real demand, you get really positive news, you get a scramble to produce, you get a scramble to buy, and guess what? You're at the top again. And see, the reality is that, you know, in a small business, we do have recession almost continually. That's the reality, okay? And now, what we have done, in actuality, with the recession is we've leveled the playing field against some of the bigger companies. That's the reality, okay? So keep your eye on the ball, and all I'm going to say here is that you've got to have short-term strategies and long-term strategies to run a business. You can't base running a business on a long-term plan. But you can't do it on short-term.